say you're not involved. Don't try to convince yourself that these problems don't affect you at all. Because now it's Lebanon, Azania, Grenada. How many more? Tell me now, how many more? Don't you stand on the sidelines and watch your children go off to war. Don't stand back and wait for this violence to come to your door. Because now it's Chile, Guatemala, El Salvador. How many more? Tell me now, how?
Welcome. Peace and love, family. Peace and love. 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 Peace and. Welcome to the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition platform. This is U.S. Political Prisoners and You. Um, Today is July 30th. In about 2 days or so, we'll be dealing with officially Black August. Black August, people, heard about it, and you hear people talking about it. But prior to me coming on, I watched the brother Kalanchi, Black Power Media co-founder, talk about the origins of Black August, and I myself have got even more informed, even more educated, because to me, Black August is a time where you have to get involved intensely with political education. And me doing that, I had got more political education on that. So the entire program that he put out there, it would be beneficial to any one of us that's interested in learning more about the origins and the meaning behind Black August. Um, it's very important that we understand what it's about so that we can be properly educated, because our struggle for our own self-determination requires intense political education. Black August was initiated by the Black guerrilla family in San Quentin State Prison in 1979, when a group of incarcerated people came together to commemorate the deaths of brothers Jonathan P. Jackson, August 7th, 1970, and George Jackson, August 21st, 1971, at San Quentin State Prison. For those who are not familiar with Black Panther, George Jackson was the field marshal in the Black Panther Party. He was incarcerated for a number of years for a bogus offense. While he was in prison, he made a transformation from a criminal mentality to that of a revolutionary. He wrote 2 books. One is Blood in My Eye. The other one is Soul Dad Brother. This book, his last writing, was very beneficial to me because it allowed me to learn more about him, what he stood for, and how committed he was for his people. He had a love for his people, and he always said that if he wasn't in prison, that he'll be doing some serious work. He'll commit himself to serious revolutionary activities. And as I started to read the book, Soul Dad Brother, I think I've read it like 2 times. I started understanding how serious he was about making revolution, making serious change, and the fact that it had to be a different outlook, a different analysis on the concrete condition. Because Brother George, he went from a criminal mentality to that of a revolutionary. While he was in prison, he would read Karl Marx, he would read Vladimir Lenin, he would read Mao Zedong, he would read Fanon, and that allowed him to reevaluate his situation and commit himself to something that was different, something that was about actually what was happening, and not to further engage in those criminal behaviors. And he was well respected in the criminal, in the jail population, and people uh, spoke of him being a man's man, a person who wasn't just going to talk the talk, but walk the talk. And he stood on his word. He knew what he had to do, and he had others that were with him that were committed to the same cause. I was very inspired by his writing. I get to look at things a lot differently and decide what position I'm going to take regarding the commitment that I'm going to make to our people's struggle, to our people's liberation. And throughout the course of my life, you know, my path led to the work around political prisoners. And being a part of the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition allowed me to understand the seriousness of this work. You organize to educate people, and you build relationships in communities to talk about political prisoners, talk about why they're important, why they are significant. And that's why whenever I'm involved in community work, I make sure that I represent a political prisoner. I'm in some type of uniform, whether this hat or another hat that I have, a shirt that speaks of a specific political prisoner. This particular one is Sekou Odinga. It wasn't one that I put together, but it was a gift to me, and it was one that I wear pridefully because I know his story, I know his struggle, I know his love of the people. And in Black August, that's what we have to remind ourselves of, the love that those who sacrifice, those who make immense sacrifices for us, we have to remind ourselves about their love. And we gotta, how do we honor that love? How do we make sure that our community continues to know about them? I think that that is tell a story and commit to acts that they were about. Because I remember talking to Sekou Denga and hearing him talk. He said the things, the issues that you're currently fighting, we were organizing, fighting um, for, you know, and that was about our self-determination, our right to have adequate housing, our right to have adequate food, our right to not be brutalized, terrorized by the state on any level, specifically the police, because of their constant interaction with us. And I thought that that led me to understanding how serious this brother was and how serious our political prisoners are. Because prior to their imprisonment, them being in prison, they knew the consequences of their actions, or the possible consequences of their action, but yet and still that love motivated them to take a stand, to take a position, to decide that they were going to be about the business of organizing their people, to make sure that their people have the best um, situation possible, which can only happen through organized action, through serious work, through commitment. I'm not aware of how many viewers have not read this book or have read this book. And if you have read this book, please have a comment referring to what stood out most when reading this book. What made you pick this book as something that you were going to use to advance your thinking, to put yourself in a position to be a better person for your people. Because Black August is about that. It's about study, right? How much time are you going to commit to getting politically educated? And what are you going to do with that political education? It's about fasting, right? And that's disciplinary action that's requires some serious discipline. And what foods are you going to refrain from? Fasting allows you to clear your head, to focus on things that are bigger than you. Training, right? When we talk about training, we talk about self-defense. How do you defend yourself against people that want to do you harm, right? We see what goes on with the police. We see what goes on with any people that come to our community and doesn't have the same interests for our people. How do we defend ourselves against that? Um, Another thing is exercise, right? What type of exercises are you committed to? You know, me, I like to commit myself to 3 days a week of exercise, mostly calisthenics. I know that I'm going to try I am going to increase and add another day so that I can be stronger for our people, be more committed to our people. And these are examples, or these are ideas that we have to put forth to ourselves throughout this entire month, because this is a month of serious work. The brother Kalanji, he put emphasis on Black August being about political prisoners. And I'm very appreciative of that, because that is what we need to remind ourselves. The origin of it is about political prisoners. And we need to ask ourselves, when do we plan to write to a political prisoner, if we haven't done it? And if we are doing it, how much are we doing it? And are we consistent with that engagement? Because I know that once that political prisoner writes to us, we have to write back. That now we start to continue to engage, and from that we decide that we're going to commit ourselves to some type of work, because we need to look at that political prisoner as a family member that has been in prison because of protecting the family interest and making sure that the family is protected long term. And that's how serious these relationships have to be, because if we ignore our political prisoners, then what are we saying to the next person or the next group of people that want to take up the work of organizing, the work of doing what is necessary to move our people forward? Because we can read, we can study, uh, but if we don't put that to no practice, then what actually does it mean? And I think that George's writings was about that, him allowing you to understand that this is his contribution to our liberation struggle. He's going to write, and he's going to present it to those people who have an interest in what's happening. He's going to share his own experiences and how he came to be the person that he was, and still is, right? Because he is the model in terms of serious professional revolutionary, right? George was organizing in the prison. He was about the advancement of his people as manifested through the Black guerrilla family, some serious work that they had to do, and allowing other prisoners to understand that, you don't have to accept your conditions as they are currently. There's always an act that you need to engage in, or you have the option to engage in. And that's what makes George very important to us. We need to study him, we need to talk about him, and we need to bring him to a new generation, a generation that is dealing with a number of issues, a number of distractions, right? Myself, I have a cell phone, and I struggle not to look at all the information that's being there. And that's why Black August is also important to me too, because now we look at it, Black August in 2025, we have to look at what are we looking at on our cell phones? How much time are we spending on our cell phones? And is it beneficial to us and our people, or rather our contribution to our people? This is a question that we have to ask ourselves, because this is what Black August is about. It's about being focused. It's about refocusing. It's about studying, right? And so when we study, we're studying our history. We're studying a number of different issues. And I think that during Black August, we're reminded of this powerful, important month, right? There are a number of dates in Black August that when we look at, it can give us more insight into being recommitted to our liberation struggle, right? August is just 1 month, but there's several months that's going to come after that. And we have to carry this on during those times, because that is only going to make it powerful, or make it meaningful by what we do after August is done. But just to go through a couple of dates that I found very interesting, and allows you to think about what you can study and what topics you can talk about throughout the month of August. So August 1st, Emancipation Day in Antigua and Barbuda and Anguilla, the Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Bermuda, British Virgin Islands, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, Trinidad and Tobago, and Canada. We could look at the current state of these places as they deal with their Emancipation Day. August 2nd, Chokwe, Lumumba, August 2nd, 1947 to February 25th, 2014, an early leader of the Black separatist organization, Republic of New Africa, is born in 1947. We could look at his life and what that organization meant for us and the examples. August 4th, Debbie Sims, Africa of the Move, Sims Africa of the Move organization is born in 1956. That can give us a time to talk about Move, talk about Mumia Abu-Jamal, one of the most known political prisoners, and what we need to do in terms of getting him free. We need to find out what organizations are doing what. And if you're looking for anything to be a part of in terms of Mumia, you can contact me at 347-679-3936. I could hook you up with some organizations that are doing some serious work, because we all need a hand in that. And August 4th, Thomas Sankara, Marxist revolutionary and Pan-Africanist, is the named president of Burkina Faso in 1983. This is a time where we can reflect on his legacy and his words and his examples, right? These examples are very important because it allows us to look at what really happening and look at the fact that a person, an idea is manifested in this person. Therefore, this idea can really occur in our reality, and we can move it forward as far as we can with the time that we have. Nelson Mandela, political prisoner, August 5th, is arrested and imprisoned in 1962. August 5th, the Montgomery Riverfront Brawl takes place in 2023 in Montgomery, Alabama. I know a number of elders seeing that felt some form of relief that our people are coming together. Our people are not watching things happen to us and accepting it as something normal, that we're standing up, we're organizing, and we're putting up a resistance. In August 9th, Mike Brown is killed by a white police officer in Ferguson, Missouri, sparking the Ferguson uprising. August 10th, the Attica Prison Rebellion of 1971 is frequently invoked and commemorated as part of Black August, as it was a key moment in the radical prison movement, although the officially recognized dates of the rebellion are September 9th to 13th, 1971. You see, August 11th, Watts Riots, also known as the Watts Uprising, August 11th to 16, 1965. August 12th, Hugo Purnell of the San Quentin Six, who were involved in attempted prison break to liberate George Jackson in 1971, is killed in a high security prison 2015. August 15, Boyers Cayman voodoo ceremony that would lead to the first large-scale uprising of the enslaved of Saint Dominique and spark the Haitian Revolution. August 17th, birth of Pan-Africanist leader Marcus Garvey. August 21st, beginning of Nat Turner's rebellion. August 21st, death of George Jackson. And August 22nd, the Haitian Revolution begins in 1791. August 23rd, uprising enslaved in Saint Dominique, beginning of the Haitian Revolution, and commemorated by UNESCO as the International Day of the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and Abolition. August 28th is Emmett Till, age 14, is abducted, tortured, and lynched in Mississippi in 1955. August 30th, Gabriel's Rebellion, a planned rebellion of enslaved persons in Richmond, Virginia in 1800. August 30th, birth of Fred Hampton. Just a couple of dates to reflect on as you engage in political education during Black August, because I think these dates fuel us even further as we have those discussions, because every day is a different time to reflect on interesting historic event to let us understand that what happened then needs to be reflected on as we deal with our current situation. In our community, we're dealing with ethnic cleansing. In our community, we're dealing with the violence by the police. We're dealing with the lack of affordable housing. We're dealing with lack of jobs. So now during Black August, we're organizing ourselves to look at our concrete conditions more sharper, right? And be more disciplined, be more focused, be more trained, and have a position that is going to deal with the situation today, tomorrow, and the day after. But we have to have stamina because this is an ongoing fight. This is an ongoing struggle, and even when we gain the victories that we want, or the ultimate victory, which is our liberation, we still have to fight to maintain it. So we can't get relaxed. We just have to pace ourselves. And Black August allows us to eternalize our historical struggle. It allows us to look at what we are dealing with personally, whether it's health issues, whether it's lack of adequate or consistent political education. It allows us to recommit ourselves to this cause. Um, One of the most important things that we have to commit ourselves to in Black August is our position on political prisoners, right? What political prisoners are we involved with? If not any, why not? We need to ask ourselves why are we not engaged in the work of our political prisoners? Who is telling us what and why are we listening to that? And what is our position? Do we have a clear definition on political prisoners? Brother Kalanji, he laid that out. So I'm encouraging those who are viewing now to watch that entire episode on Black Power Media. It's the untold story of Black August. I think the brother did a great job. And when you watch this episode, he lays out a clear definition of political prisoners. I think that that's a definition that even myself, I have to go back and examine the definition. I have to have sharper analysis on the definition of political prisoners so that when I talk to people, when I'm not on this platform, when I'm in the community of Queensbridge or when I'm in the community of Brooklyn, anywhere, that I can have a discussion that is going to bring them further or deeper into the work on political prisoners, because I have to have something that's going to hold them and make them understand that, I need your support. I need your participation, whatever talents, whatever skills you have. Please allow those who are doing this work on our political prisoners to use those talents, to use those skills, because this is the only way that our political prisoners are going to come home. It's through the work of those who are taxpayers. It's the work of those who possess those talents to bring them home. If you're a writer, write about a political prisoner. If you're an artist, do a portrait on political prisoners. If you're a clothing designer, do a clothing designer that reflects political prisoners. Do use what you have to advocate for the freedom of our political prisoners. That line, that quote that I use continuously by former political prisoner Sundiata Acoli, saying that the state don't free political prisoners, the prisoners do. And understand that the parole board, understand that the parole officers, the probation officers, all those who are agents of the state, they are defenders of the community, right? That's what their title is. That is what they're supposed to be doing. And if you're a defender of the community, then I think that you need the input of the community. And that's where we come in, right? We should be writing to the parole board when we find out about a political prisoner coming up for parole, letting the parole board know that we are a part of a community. If you are part of a nonprofit organization doing the work like these violent interrupters are doing, you need to be on board regarding our political prisoners. Writing to the parole board, telling the parole board that we need those talents. We need those skills of those political prisoners. Those people like George Jackson who are committed to being politically educated while they're in prison, who have a concrete analysis of concrete conditions and knowing and understanding what's happening in our community, why our brothers and sisters are engaged in criminal behavior. And they can give us answers that are sharper than the answers that we might be having right now because of their commitment and their devotion and their time that they have to actually advance their political education, advance their understanding of our reality. So the community has a responsibility, and we have actual power and input when we write to the parole board. We're reminding the parole board that we're on top of this, that we're watching their actions, that if they are supposed to be defenders of the community, where is their engagement with the community? I remember writing on a political prisoner to the parole board and asking them or letting them know that, I want to know why this political prisoner is not set free. I want to know what was the conclusion for this political prisoner, or rather this prisoner, because that's the term that I used at the time when I wrote to the parole board. But they wrote me back saying that they received the letter, but they never got into detail on why they made the decision that they made. And I think that when you have an entire community doing that same action, now you're forced to explain your decision. And now if you get an elected official to jump on board and write that letter to those on parole boards around this particular prisoner being released, being brought to the community, being able to support the community's work, be an essential part of the community as an example of, advanced ideas or people who understood what was happening and now can come up with some solutions on some options that we haven't even thought of. But they was watching what's been going on. They've been studying the whole history of the oppression of our people, and they know that they can offer something. So what I want to assign my viewers is to find 10 serious people to share this episode with, and encourage them to write to a political prisoner. And I'm going to provide you with a number of addresses that I've done already, but I'm going to continue to do that so you can get an address of a particular political prisoner and write to them. Let them know where you got their information from. So when they write you back, and if they have a message, then now through you, I can share that message with the viewers. And now we have an ongoing dialogue with our political prisoners. And now they know that they have a voice on the so-called outside world. And they won't be ignored. They won't be forgotten. And they will have a chance to come home, right? And we give them their chance by what we decide to be serious about. And writing to a political prisoner is a serious act because it's taking a position in opposition to the state, right? The state doesn't admit to having political prisoners. They say we don't have no political prisoners in the United States. These people are criminals, they're terrorists. We say they captured freedom fighters. We say that they have been advocating for the right for us to be self-determined for a number of years. And their actions draw attention to them from the state. The state felt very threatened by their organized action and brought these questionable charges, these bogus charges. They found people to make questionable statements about them that led to their long incarceration. So we have the responsibility to stand up and fight for the freedom of our political prisoners. I think that when we take that task very seriously, we can bring them home. Mutulu Shakur, prior to his transition, he came home. He didn't die in prison. Sekou Odinga, whose face is on the shirt that I'm currently wearing, he did over 33 years in prison. He had a serious defense committee, and he came home to love. He came home to honor. He came home to an organized care committee that was here for his last days, and it was honorable that was done. And I think that doesn't happen without people being serious about the work to free our political prisoners. That doesn't happen without love. And that's why this book is so important, because it's a love letter to our people. It's a reminder of this is serious work, and people who truly love their people are going to put it all on the line. And that's exactly what George Jackson did. He put it all on the line for his people. He knew what was happening, and he said, not on my watch. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to fight back. I'm going to organize people for our right to be self-determined. So please, during Black August, write to a political prisoner. Let me know when they write you back. Share this episode with serious people, and welcome to Black August. Peace and love.